This is a video I'm having to record for Twitch TV because my connection is sadly very, very bad for streaming. So I'm sorry for anyone who wanted to participate. I was really looking forward to it. Really looking for some actual dialogue for people. So I apologize for that. I honestly didn't look forward to it. Really looking for. Hang on, I'm getting for some actual. There we go. And okay, that actually really helped. Okay, sorry about that. But anyway, what I was gonna do was I was gonna run a combat and have players sort of participate. So it wasn't completely a one-man show. Fortunately, it's got to be one-man show, so I'll try to be the best one-man show I could possibly be while talking about a very, very dry subject when you really get down to it. First, we're going to briefly talk about these characters. If you read my Forge of Combat essay, article, or document, however you want to view it, you'll recognize these four characters. That's Grumpy, the Ranger, Tusky, the Evangelist Cleric, and Buffs, the Enhancement Wizard, and Indiana Bardo, the Archaeologist Bard. I leveled them up to 6, just to let you know. And the character sheets will be in the first forum post. You actually want to peruse them. There's really not much difference between what they were at 6 and 4, except the addition of some third level spells and a little bit better equipment. That's really about it. And nothing too terribly fantastic that they gained. Grumpy does not have his wolf with him. I forgot to stat his stupid wolf to 6, and I ran out of time before I could do it. But the other thing I'm using tonight is this encounter. Now this is CR6 group versus the CR8 encounter, so this is supposed to be a tough encounter, and that's doable. This encounter I found online on a blog. It's actually in the first forum post, and it's basically meant to make a challenging encounter with relatively low-level guys. And I think it does okay with that. I think a couple things are missing from it. First off, if we were on the encounter by itself, this would be all there is to it. But when you talk about forts and palisades and buildings, it's not just what's here, it's also what's around it. And that's sort of what we're going to get into here, is these tree stumps actually represent where the wood for the palisade comes from. Do I have a... I do. Yeah, where the wood for the palisade comes from is around here. And here's our pit trap. It didn't really specify where the pit trap was located, just somewhere near the entrance that you're supposed to draw the PCs over. I don't think that's actually going to become a factor with this group. Other thing I added was the gate. If you have a defensible position, you have a gate, and you don't keep the stupid gate open all the time, you keep it closed. Especially if you're a bunch of hobgoblins or goblins and you don't want adventurers to sneak in, kill an orc in his sleep or something, you keep it closed. Other thing that's missing, I really didn't even notice until an hour ago, was I have this big palisade around it, and I have the goblins in their towers, but if the goblins get taken out in their towers, how do you defend this wall from outside attack? Obviously you can't just open the gate and let them out, because then the enemies can just push through, they get inside your gate, and they wreck your shit. So maybe the palisade ought to have had a walkway around it as well, or in a couple areas, so you could defend the gate, toss oil, toss alchemy spires over it. It's a little late now to do that, but if I were designing this encounter from the ground up, again, I would basically add that on there. That way, if the PCs aren't just sitting here freaking with this wall the whole time, you have the hobgoblin archers to be shooting at them, they'd be forced to use cover, or things like that. Other than that, the space around it is precisely around, or maybe not precisely, around 60 feet. Basically the range of their dark vision. So that means sneaking up on them at night trying to go through the bushes doesn't really work. It's kind of about the same effect during the day. But we're going to work with that. So now, really, with this sort of encounter, when you're on the offensive, you really have to seriously plan out how you want to do things, scout things out and all that. So we're going to make a few assumptions here. We're going to assume that the PCs know roughly who's in here. They know that the Hobgoblin Adept is in here. They know there are going to be some orcs. There might be some hobgoblins. There are going to be definitely some hobgoblins. They might suspect there are goblins, but they probably won't know about the owlbear, because they don't have any reason to believe there's an owlbear. Okay, and what we're going to do real quick is, a smart group does, is I never see it enough, and I'll probably end up covering this in a future article, but I want to get this out of the way, is they don't utilize scouts. When they have a rogue rush forward and, check for traps, there's always like the fighter right behind him, because the fighter's a tough guy, so the rogue can duck behind him and the fighter can step forward. But they don't really let the rogue just go and do his job, and I think that part of that is sort of the player mentality, that if the rogue goes and does his job, it's a one-man show. Or the ranger, or the bard, or the alchemist. It doesn't really even have to be a rogue. Just the dude who runs forward and looks at everything and then comes back is the dude getting most of the spotlight. And I think that's part of the reason why you run into a lot of surprise rounds and things. Certain fights become harder than they have to be, just by dint of not letting the scout be a scout. He put those ranks in the stealth or perception for a reason. It's not just so the big clanky fighter with his -2 stealth and his maybe 3 perception could sit there and alert every encounter wherever they're at about what they're doing. I'm sorry about the banging noise. My toddler, I'm letting her stay up a little bit because I'm doing this, so she's gonna go to bed soon, and tomorrow she'll go to her grandpa's. But anyway, getting back to this, what we're going to do here is we're going to let Grumpy do some scouting real fast. So let me check his stats score real quick. Okay, that's actually pretty significant. About 24. And these leaves are all cover. So the stumps here, just to give you a mechanical thing, is that they were cut down by the orcs, and they're not very well cut down, because the orcs are used to using slave labor and all that, but the hobgoblins insist that they do it, so the orcs did it grudgingly, and so the stumps aren't very, short on the ground, so people can see better. So they're about, the size of small characters. So they count sort of low cover, so we'll get over here real quick, and we'll roll for the goblin real fast. See if the goblin will spot him, because if the goblin spots him, combat's pretty much going to start immediately. And we don't want combat to start immediately. Perception of -1. Okay, so today we've learned you do not use goblins as your watchers. I don't think the designer of the counter really thought about that. I mean, it's we're going to put the goblins who are easily distracted with their -1 perceptions on guard duty. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, it's not even really a contest. It's +12 versus -1. Yeah, it's 20, and he's rolling 3. So, alright, so Grumpy is pretty much going to have a good idea about the layout here. He can't see inside, so he still doesn't know about the owlbear. But since the goblin's tower is poked up, he definitely will know about the goblins. We'll just, skip ahead a little bit and say he does, because they can't see him, because he's Stealthy McGrumpy, who also shoots faces. Alright, so he'll come back and he'll tell, and this is the value of a scout, really, is because he can tell them that there are goblins in these towers. He tell them that the gate is closed. He knows that the palisade is high all the way around, and that there's no other entrance in. Because sometimes that's a question. Is there an entrance other than the front gate? In this case, there's not. But if there was, it'd be, they could go around instead of going to the front gate like a normal person would. They can, knock the hole out of the wall, maybe fight the owlbear, and send everything to the surprise. But we're not going to do that. So, Yeah, I'll have to get into some more pre-combat. We're gonna also see Indiana Bardo doesn't have any stealth, so I'm not gonna worry about him having stealth. He has invisibility. He does not have invisibility, so we're not gonna worry about that. Instead, here's how our fight is going to play out. Grumpy is going to go over here. Yeah, about over here. He's going to line up a shot on this goblin here. He's going to take that goblin out right away. He's going to take out any other goblin that decides they're going to climb up it and shoot back. What is going to happen then is the rest of the group is going to rush forward. And really we got to figure out how to defeat this wall, because we got to get inside. We can't just like wait them out. Yeah, let's assume there's like the possibility of patrol coming back. So we don't want them to do that. Okay, she has fly, so we'll probably end up casting that on Grumpy. Grumpy can shoot. And let's see, is there a piece of equipment they might be able to use across the wall? Interesting. Okay, so I just noticed Buffs has an empty slot. And that's actually important. You know, if you ever read my cleric guide, I tell you should always keep like a few slots open in your memorize spell list, just so you can memorize a spell when you need it, if you're planning, and if you make plans. And in this case, still planning on one. Okay. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay. So the plan is Grumpy is going to shoot this goblin. Then he's going to fly up above the palisade, and he's going to attach a grappling hook with a knotted rope at the end of this wall. Now, it's like a 20-foot high palisade. It's a significantly high palisade, so people are going to take damage falling down on this thing. So that's something we really have to worry about. He'll cover them with his bow, while Indiana Bardo is also going to cover him with a bow from the bottom in case someone comes out. So Tusky and Buffs will be able to get up the rope and drop down. And as they climb the rope, Buffs is going to cast Featherfall. First, she's going to take 5 minutes to memorize it because she has an open slot. That's what she does. You know, no time at all. So that is the plan. The plan is attach a rope like right here after killing this right here. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. So, you're going to assume that Buffs cast Fly on Grumpy right away, so he can do his job basically immediately. And the other 3 orcs here are going to be patrolling. This goblin's going to be doing whatever. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and we'll start the surprise round, because the goblin is surprised. For the benefit of the doubt, because he is sort of in a tower, he might have some like railings or something. They might care about the goblin enough. So we'll give him like a mischance, a bit of concealment. Also, something else is Grumpy does have favorite enemy in goblins, or humanoid goblin is the other way to put it. But it's not his primary favorite enemy. So he only gets like +2. But yeah, you know, like that really makes a difference in his case. He's not going to deadly shot, because goblins probably don't have very much. Actually, yeah, I think he's going to deadly shot. Yeah, you can have deadly shot? I don't think he has it. Never mind, he doesn't have deadly shot. It's not bother then. Instead, we'll just straight up shoot him. Yeah. Start the surprise round with a +2 to attack. And I think that's pretty much going to slaughter this goblin. Yeah, 18. 1d8 plus 7. I think 13 damage pretty much. Yeah, so surprise round starts. with this goblin dying immediately.